They laughed at him in Mandarin, confident he couldn't understand a single word. Every laugh, every whisper, every carefully chosen phrase cut deep. They mocked his skin, his education, his very presence, as if he had no right to exist in their world of opulence. Samuel kept his face calm, his movements precise, his hands steady as he balanced tray after tray. Yet inside, every word struck like a silent dagger. What they didn't know, and what no one realized, was that he understood everything. Each insult, each calculated jab was catalogued in his mind, a map of their arrogance, waiting for the right moment to respond. And soon, those very words they had used to humiliate him would become the instruments that shattered their perceived superiority. How could one man, armed with nothing but patience, knowledge, and dignity, confront unimaginable wealth and emerge, victorious without raising his voice? It was just another evening at the city's most luxurious restaurant, a place where crystal chandeliers caught the light like captured stars, where polished marble floors reflected the movement of diners and servers, and where the scent of rare spices and aged wine seemed to permeate every corner. To Samuel, this place was both a challenge and a refuge. A waiter by trade, he moved with practiced grace, each step measured, each motion deliberate. To most, this was just a job, but to him it was a stage, a proving ground, a way to assert control in a world that often sought to diminish him. Every gesture, every smile, every tilt of his head was honed through years of experience, and he carried himself with the quiet authority of someone who had learned to survive and to observe the nuances of human behavior. Samuel had not always been a waiter. He had grown up in a neighborhood that demanded grit and resilience, where every day presented a new challenge to character and survival. Raised by his mother, Lorraine, he had been taught to face the world with intelligence, patience, and courage. She had instilled in him a love of learning, of words, and of understanding people beyond the limits of immediate appearances. Languages fascinated him, each one a key to a new world, a new perspective, a bridge across boundaries that often seemed insurmountable. Mandarin, however, was special. He had fallen in love in college with a woman from China, brilliant, kind, and endlessly patient. She had encouraged him to learn her language, guiding him through the tones and characters, correcting him when he stumbled, pushing him to persist when he wanted to give up. That relationship had ended. Life had taken them in different directions, but the language remained, tucked away in his mind, a secret tool, a hidden strength. Tonight, the restaurant buzzed with its usual mixture of quiet elegance and low murmurs. Wine glasses chimed softly, silverware scraped against china, and the faint aroma of truffle, saffron, and roasted meats filled the air. At a table near the center, the billionaire couple exuded confidence and entitlement. Every detail of their appearance screamed superiority, designer clothes flawless to the last stitch, watches gleaming under the chandelier light, their posture erect, faces smug. They spoke in Mandarin, whispering and laughing as they deliberately aimed their insults at Samuel. Every phrase was precise, sharp, calculated, meant to diminish him, to remind him and everyone else in the room that in their world he had no place. Samuel approached the table, tray steady, his face a mask of professionalism. He smiled politely, and his movements were flawless. Yet inside, his awareness was heightened. Every word, every tone, every micro-expression of the couple was catalogued and processed. The mocking references to his skin, his education, and even his mere presence, each one a test, each one a challenge he had long anticipated. He had endured far more subtle and insidious forms of discrimination before, and he knew the value of silence. Silence could disarm arrogance, expose cruelty, and demand attention in a way words often could not. Across the room, seated at another table, a multi-billionaire observed quietly. Unlike the couple, he did not radiate arrogance. His eyes followed Samuel, noting every detail, the precision of his movements, the poise in his posture, the quiet authority that seemed to radiate, even under assault. His interest grew with every moment as the couple's whispers escalated and their laughter became crueler. He could see what they could not, the rare combination of intelligence, discipline, and dignity. To him, Samuel was not merely a waiter. He was extraordinary. The couple's whispers became sharper. Leaning toward each other, they mocked his education, his accent, his uniform, and even the way he balanced the tray in his hands. "Does he even understand us?" the woman said, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Of course not," her partner replied, smirking. "He probably thinks he's doing something important." Around them, diners felt the tension but hesitated, unsure how to react. Samuel's calm, measured pace persisted, each step deliberate, each gesture precise. Inside, he felt the familiar burn of injustice, the sting of being judged not for his actions, but for the color of his skin. The insults grew personal, probing, deliberate. The couple mocked his stance, his voice, even the meticulous care he took with the food. They shared private jokes, confident he could not understand a word. But Samuel had learned to listen, to absorb, and to wait. Every jab was catalogued, every insult stored like a weapon in a hidden arsenal. Around him, the air seemed to grow heavier, charged with expectation. Even the observing billionaire sensed the subtle shift. Something was about to change. Samuel's presence, calm yet unwavering, had begun to command the room. He set down the tray and paused. Every insult, every act of cruelty had been sharpening him for this moment. Years of study, patience, and perseverance had led him here. Now it was time, not for anger, not for confrontation, but for quiet, unassailable authority. He spoke. Fluent, deliberate, unwavering, Samuel recited the insults back in Mandarin. But it was not mere repetition. He infused every word with clarity, authority, and wisdom. He quoted Confucian teachings, "Jiao Jie Bi Bai," "The arrogant are bound to fail." Each phrase struck like a calm, deliberate hammer. He continued, "Zhizhe bu huo, renje bu you, yongzhe bu ju." The wise are free from doubt, the benevolent free from worry, the courageous free from fear. The words were precise, elegant, and devastatingly effective. They reflected the arrogance of the couple back onto themselves, exposing their entitlement in the purest terms. The restaurant froze. Guests paused mid-bite, staff stopped in their tracks, and the couple's laughter evaporated. Their faces drained of color, their mouths opening and closing without sound. They had believed they were untouchable, yet here, in the center of the room, a man they considered beneath them dismantled their superiority without a single angry word. Samuel's gaze, steady and serene, met theirs. His composure radiated strength, intelligence, and quiet authority. Across the room, the observing billionaire leaned forward, impressed. He saw not merely a waiter, but a man of intellect, discipline, and unshakable dignity. Samuel's mastery of language, his composure, and his knowledge of Confucian wisdom revealed a rare strength, one that demanded recognition. The contrast between Samuel's dignity and the couple's arrogance was unmistakable. In that instant, the billionaire made a decision that would ripple far beyond the restaurant walls. The couple remained speechless, stripped of the facade they had relied on for so long. Their arrogance crumbled piece by piece. Samuel's quiet authority filled the room, leaving a palpable silence in its wake. The tension was broken, but its lesson lingered. Arrogance cannot withstand knowledge and integrity. By the next morning, the consequences of that evening were undeniable. The billionaire observer acted decisively, canceling a multi-billion-dollar deal with the couple's company. Investors reconsidered partnerships, business contacts withdrew, support, and the couple's reputation began to unravel not just in America, but internationally. Deals worth billions were lost, not through scandal or legal action, but through the simple, undeniable truth. Arrogance and cruelty were no longer tolerated. Over $2 billion in contracts and partnerships vanished in a matter of days, a stark reminder that ethical behavior and integrity outweigh wealth and entitlement. Samuel continued his work quietly, his demeanor unchanged, yet his triumph was complete. Guests and staff who had witnessed the scene recounted it repeatedly, retelling it in hushed tones of awe and respect. Samuel's victory was more than personal. It symbolized the power of knowledge, patience, and dignity to confront arrogance and privilege. The story spread through whispers across business circles, recounted by those present, reaching the ears of decision-makers and observers worldwide. Samuel's calm intelligence left an indelible mark, proving that true power lies not in wealth or status, but in character, knowledge, and integrity. As he moved through the restaurant, unnoticed yet undeniably present, a simple truth lingered. Arrogance built on cruelty and ignorance can collapse faster than any empire. But integrity, wisdom, and patience endure. And for anyone watching, silently or from afar, one question remained. When faced with injustice, whose strength will prevail and who will act with honor even when no one is looking?